We are back online.
Hello. Whoa.
I gotta say, that was fun.
Welcome to the Friendly Jimmy's podcast.
We were just saying off air, it's so nice remembering that our audience is not the same as Vouchers.
Don't know who that is.
Which is just some fat, sweaty neckbeard sitting there saying, let me just talk to you one more time about why the argument of racial IQs being segregated is complete bullshit. Yeah, I think we get it, Vouch. You know, I don't think you do because one guy in the comments pissed me off. It's his whole show is just those like really, really annoying dark web arguments. But
No.
there's this thing that I doesn't think he realizes, which is ironically what his audience says all the time, which is it's 2020. Everyone got over that in like 2017. And also any audience member that says takes a lot, especially when they're describing a bad take, I don't want them in the audience. But every single dude that rang up then was, yeah, I'm a pretty nice guy with long hair, smoke a lot of weed, definitely. I have a lot of questions about very niche musical apparatchi that only Miss Love can answer. And let's be honest, it seemed like even Miss Love was pretty bored with half of it.
Not true.
Just to give
was
context,
very interested.
just to give context to people listening to the podcast, just before we start the podcast, we do a pre-stream. Actually, when I say we did just this once, and we're going to continue to do it, where we take in callers. So if you're listening to this and have no idea what we're talking about, we were talking to
We're talking about you.
We're actually talking about you. So, should we begin?
We should begin, but I just have to say, thank you for being you. I do think that we have
Let
a
me
really
put the camera
nice
on you,
audience,
and
babe.
then say it again. Now.
Damn, Pete.
Zoom.
You had your chance. That's the only time you're ever going to get nice things said about you for me. Back to you, Ali. But no. Now that the camera is off me again, I just want to say, good on you guys. It was really nice hearing from you. You all seemed like put together young gentlemen, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Yeah, that was lovely.
I've got to say, it just seems a lot better than the Tonightly's audience.
Definitely.
Just slightly better.
What about what if next week we get complete psychos?
Nah, we won't. Well, even if we do, then we'll pay them out. It's
And let's be
all the
honest, just because of
equivalent.
the human bias, even if we do get those psychos, we'll probably get off and be like, they like me. Must be nice.
Well, whoever's going to call in kind of would like you or us because they're watching us.
No, there will be those callers like, we need a Norman for that segment.
Norman.
Norman? John Law's arch enemy. And
Dude, it did.
you really need psychos calling you up with bones to pick.
It did give me
Radio.
Well, hopefully next week. So,
it did give me flashbacks to like Move FM. We did a couple of call-ins, didn't we? Or it was more call-outs. It was more us calling people and like, hey, we're just going to make fun of you live. It was more a bit of that, but it did remind me. It's just nice to hear like
The shoe was on the other foot a lot there. People were calling us up, including an employee of mine, to make fun of us.
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
that's right. The rat Pepito, who now we can take his name, right?
I think we can.
Well,
He's still a little dodgy about it, but
Is
has
he?
been in front of 500,000 people at this point. So I think the cat's out of the bag.
yeah, you kind of have to pick your battles.
But he used to get very angry when we used to refer to him as either Pepito or Rat Boy.
yeah, but
Now he wants to be called Christo. He thinks he's earned a human name.
come on, no.
But he still does rat-like little things like that.
Yeah, no human name yet, but it's endearing.
Yeah, at the very least, you're that humanoid rat creature in Captain Planet. What's his name again?
And then one day you'll advance to what's his name, Mr. What's the rat sensei in Ninja Turtles? Splinter.
You don't get that until you're in your at least 70s.
Come on.
Old sage.
I think that he gets the, he's allowed to Christophilus already sort of he's bypassed the like achievements of like a 20-year-old into like at least like 40. So I think he's going to get close to
True,
Splinter
but
soon.
still has the personality of a 15-year-old.
It's a nice mix, isn't it? It's just like
Great
taking
mix.
down the government, likes
And the face. Let's not forget that. The face of a 15-year-old.
Mac Miller, yeah.
And that is being generous. He does have the face of a wooden carved.
he's Pinocchio.
Benicio. But anyway, that was mad.
But yeah, you're all legends.
yeah.
And thank you for supporting the pod. The fact that we were able to take that call was because of you, because you gave us money.
And it really
Yeah,
did
we
seem
do-
like we were just Stan Zamanek taking
Jordan,
call after call.
whoever sent us
Jordan,
the Barilaro.
I'll find his. We got to shout him out. Jordan B. It's actually I remember it. Jordan B. Art. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure. Shout
Well,
out.
that's a legitimate name.
That is a beautiful artwork. You're a very skilled young man, and I'm not even kidding. Like,
Yeah, it's almost as good as the cardboard cutout of Eddie Maguire. And that's why it gets equal footing.
it's
Again, we've got to thank you.
Now we've got a
Send us
father
more
figure.
stuff, not the other things that we can't mention, but
nah. Send us more of that.
Yeah, you know who we're talking about.
These guys.
Mislav definitely wants more of that.
Yeah, I definitely do.
I would like more of that.
yeah.
Yeah, me too. Particularly because the PO box is under my name. Definitely more of that.
Damn, just
Very
Ali's getting fucking towed away with cuffs. Bloody immigrants, eh?
All right, let's move on to our first segment. The first segment, there is no doubt. Like, we all know what we're going to talk about. I know, Jordan, you're releasing a video about this very topic tomorrow, but let's first take the initial takeaways of the news. The biggest news of...
Would you say we're in a
what,
crisis right now?
I'm talking about Gladys.
I wish we were in a crisis,
Okay.
but the news won't ever air that, which is... I mean, as Mislav pointed out, and I don't think anybody has made this point yet, can you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot?
Look,
Ali, can you imagine?
can you imagine?
Can you imagine that the shoe was on the other foot? And can you imagine that Scott Morrison was supporting the other foot?
That's true. We'll
I
get
wanna-
into that point in a second, but I do have to just make this special mentioning. Shout out to Jody McKay. She knows how to kick some ass.
Hell yeah. I was impressed with that. I was just like, whoa. I didn't even see any of her actual speeches or addresses, just purely from the social media posts were brutal. Like, just like, boom, boom, just like left, right punches, just like, whoa,
You
nice.
should have seen her in Question Time.
Oh, man, I will be watching that after.
You know what made me really scary? It was really,
I like
really
Question Time.
scary because it was just... I think it just triggers back something in your childhood memory. But you know when your mum is legitimately pissed? It's not that, clean your fucking room. It's that thing of just like
Angry.
cold anger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know that there's no out of that. There's no negotiating with it.
Either parent, right? That's a dad thing too, isn't it? They're just like, I'm not fucking around, you know?
I think the closest thing that they do to that is, don't you think they always just
The
start
belt!
to unravel their belt?
I think I got that once or twice, yeah. Can't remember.
Scurry away like the cockroach you are. Jody McKay, the tonality that she was delivering her attacks in it could only be described as vitriolic. There was a snarling undertone to it that was very primal. And I honestly think it was the best Question Time attack that I've ever seen.
What did
In
she-
covering politics for 7 years. She killed it.
Wow.
What did she question her about? Because I haven't seen it. I mean, I've seen her
Well,
stand.
it was
ICAC.
just obviously what she wrote in her tweets, but it was just so much better delivered in person because you could see how pissed she was about it. But it was pretty much just how, like, I think that it was also just the personal trait of it being that she, as soon as, when Nathan Tinkler, who's a mining magnate, was in the same position, and this was during the 2011 election where she lost her seat and she had a safe seat in Newcastle. And those donations would have helped because she still only sort of narrowly lost the seat. But if you got a fat donation band on you, and on top of that, if you did what they wanted, which was they wanted to build a coal port there instead of a transport terminal, and she was saying, no, it's more economically viable to do the transport terminal, and on top of that, it doesn't destroy the Hunter Valley, there's a bonus. So she was saying, no, I'm not going to be accepting donations for this. I think this is a terrible idea. And I think it was illegal for them to accept donations anyway. And Tinkler was saying, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just give a little bit to all of my employees and they'll all just give you $50, you know. And she was saying, that's corrupt as fuck. And she went to ICAC with it. Now, here was the repercussions of it because of that extremely corrupt contingency that was in New South Wales Labor at the time that had your Tripodis, your Sartors, your... Look, let's just be honest, and I know this is going to be clipped out of context, but there isn't anything clipped out of context to take it out of it, and I can say this as a WOG. Can we just stop electing WOGs?
Oh, I've got an idea.
Poor Matt is just watching.
It's always there.
I reckon I just.
Look, that's what I'm saying. When people are always saying, "Can you run for politics?" No, my last name's Markovita. You can't have that in Parliament.
Yeah,
Mislav, I've got the best idea. Next time Jordan says anything controversial, I'll just move the camera angle to us. They can't clip him if there's no face.
Yeah, just warn us,
Yeah,
and then you can, and then also, dude, you can always use sound effects on those, like, oh, behave, right?
That's a bit naughty, isn't it?
Yeah, just chuck a little sort of
Well,
like,
say hello, the oldie now.
because that
Say
cannot be
something
taken.
controversial.
Oh God,
No, okay.
he just did. Damn, what was that? Was that a Led Zeppelin? I can't hear.
I don't know. I was hoping it was the fun.
Mine's cut out. Anyways,
That's what we'll do next time.
yeah, we'll
But,
do that.
yeah, look.
It's cute. That's a good contingency plan.
But yeah, seriously though, come on. She was all of these, the nefarious lot in the New South Wales Labor that faced justice, and rightfully so. They all started campaigning against McKay in her own seat. So she not only had the external threat of the Liberals, who did accept donations from Tinkler, even though it was illegal, so they were accepting the donations. Her own party was pissed off that she didn't accept the donations and didn't support the coal port. So both internally and externally, she was getting campaigned against. She didn't have the advantage of the money, and she went to ICAC. She went to ICAC and testified against people in her own party and Nathan Tinkler. That's the level of integrity that you're facing against Gladys Berejiklian, who, when she was in the same position and there was corrupt doings and they were actively trying to tell her about the corrupt doings, her response was, I don't need to hear about that.
Yeah, the hypocrisy,
that was-
the double standards are ridiculous.
And the fact that, so didn't she make an excuse saying, sorry, this is a very lawyer point, but she made the excuse saying that I was bored with all of the stuff that he was talking about. So that was my version of saying, like, just shut up about that. I'm not interested. But she didn't say, like, I'm not interested. She said, I'm not interested about that. Well, as in, like, she didn't say, I'm not interested. I don't need to know about that.
Yep.
So a very particular thing is boring her, which somehow is also about getting kickbacks.
But as a lawyer, like as someone that knows about, like, understands the law, surely that constitutes willingly turning a blind eye to something illicit. By definition, being like, I don't need to know about that. Unfortunately, if someone's given you the information, it is now your responsibility to report it, because it's like someone throws something on you. You can't just wash it off. It's like you have been told the information that it's too bad. You have to choose what to do with that. If you don't report it, then it's illegal.
Well, so that doesn't make it illegal. What would make it, so that's I guess what you're talking about is a conflict of interest, right?
But an implication of criminal activity.
Look, the criminal threshold is high, so you've got to often prove a lot of things either on in criminal law particularly, like it needs to be beyond reasonable doubt,
right.
Or for certain things it needs to be balanced with probabilities, which is what is more probable. So look, I'm not saying that, because obviously we haven't listened to all of the tapes, so I don't know what else she said. That in itself is not good enough to throw her into jail or anything, but as like a premier, you need to take ownership of the fact that, look, there were a few things over here, and I understand that for a lot of people this is about, oh my God, she had a bad boyfriend. Haven't we all had a bad boyfriend? Maybe, but you're not the fucking premier. So there's a difference here. Her bad boyfriend is also an MP. She's currently basically technically speaking, as a premier, isn't she like his boss? The guy was a New South Wales MP, or was he a federal MP?
No, it's New South Wales.
Yeah,
so, he was a backbencher.
So that's one, right? So I'm not saying that in itself is illegal, but that is something that needs to be declared. Not in politics. These standards, these are basic standards that are followed by any company.
And especially if you are dating him, you have an obligation to list all of the pecuniary interests of your significant other.
Exactly. You have to. As a general, that's a procedural aspect of it, and you must actually. This is not a light thing that you can if you want to. You should be doing this.
And let's just zoom out for a second, because you start getting lost in the legal mumbo jumbo, and just zooming in on, well, she didn't declare it, but what isn't she declaring here? She is declaring the fact that he was going to Chinese companies and saying, I can get you a deal with the New South Wales government to rezone land to suit your interests.
To suit her interests, so that he could retire and she could have a stable boyfriend.
Yeah.
According to her own admissions.
Yes.
From this. So she wanted him to retire so that he gets, basically he had lost a lot of money because he had gone through a divorce or something. So in her mind, and she's admitted to this, that she wanted him to retire handsomely so that she could bring this relationship on record and she could basically date him. It would be difficult dating him while he was an MP. No, so she was apparently dating this guy for 5 years.
Hang on. So this, because my understanding of their relationship, this was the intertwinings of what I was imagining what it was, which is just the worst people on earth combined. I truly do think this. This is the wisest thing in the Bible, which is that the love of money is the root of all evil. If you are obsessed with money, you're a bad person. Hands down. There is not a scenario where I can imagine where if you prioritize money over everything else in life,
over everything. Yeah.
you're going to do very evil things.
Well, even if she prioritized love over everything
not
else.
her. I think that this was Maguire, right?
Yeah.
But
he's a scumbag.
money obsessed.
Yeah.
Every single
You can
thing
tell.
that they showed, and also like talking about tiny amounts of money, saying, "Yeah, I reckon that if you take out $1,000 for your mortgage, and then you just pay it back in $200 increments over 5 months." Even when I was on $200 a month on Centrelink, I didn't care about $200 a month. This guy can't be that poor.
No.
And where does Gladys Berejiklian, you know what I think that she has? I think she has school captain syndrome. She just reeks of that, where she has this idea that, but I'm the premier at the moment, so I'm just going to, I'm just going to do whatever I can to keep that job. That's the second worst type of person on the planet, who's
Keep
just
that
obsessed
job?
with status and titles.
And also, keep that shitty boyfriend. I honestly think that she wasn't particularly greedy in terms of money, but what she did was that she put her relationship on top of her professional. The way she's saying that I've been able to compartmentalize it, I don't think you were, because you stopped, according to your admission, because obviously I don't know what's happening within your relationship, but you're telling the commission that you stopped talking to him about 4 months ago when it became abundantly clear that there's going to be a conflict with the commission and her relationship with her. He was under investigation much before that. Did you ever think of fucking putting it out there that I am dating this guy that there's corruption allegations against? And I wouldn't ask you to normally do it, but you happen to be the fucking premier. The standard should be higher for you. And it's not like a thing of it's a woman. It's just the post that you have, your standard of being proper is slightly higher. And I think I think that should be reason enough for you to resign. And I know, look, we've all been obsessed with some guy.
Yes, baby.
Girl
We've all
or
been
guy.
there, honey.
But we've been in that situations where, our partner is kind of dicky and we love them. But when you're a premier, you need to be very, very mindful of it. You're supposed to be a very smart person, and you're supposed to at least bring it out to the public that, I was in this relationship. There seems to be an investigation on this guy. Just want to put it out there.
Yeah. That is if you're a public servant, it's kind of, and Jody McKay did that to a lesser degree. Even she was offered a bribe grant, and even then, she went to ICAC and was like, "Look, I'll declare this."
Jody McKay lost everything. It was really, she just had her life kind of resurged, I really think, out of pure dumb luck after she lost her seat.
Right, really?
It kind of seemed like a Polynesian chalice and no one wanted it, and she didn't really want to go back into politics, and they kind of convinced her to go back into politics
I didn't know
after
that.
her allies had kind of taken over the party, right? But at that point, she put everything on the line to keep her integrity, everything. Her job, her friends, her family members as well. Her entire reputation was ruined because of the smear campaign that was set against her in her own electorate. She did it all just to maintain that this guy's getting is getting investigated by ICAC. I should say something. As is the law.
Something. Just say I either dated the guy or I'm in a relationship with him. As long as you bring it to the public. By public, I mean just public record.
And this is the other thing as well, as what I'll say is about the personal point. When it comes to the personal point and they say that, haven't we all been in that situation? But it's like your point, but I think it's just further than this. If you are one of those people that says, haven't we all been in that situation? You shouldn't go into politics. It is a higher calling in life. And I understand that, people that screw up in politics all the time, and I am very, very willing to give them, the the benefit of the doubt. I don't really care if they have affairs or there's just all of these namby-pamby, he said, she said, bullshit grey areas. I hate how the press just nails people on that. But when it comes to corruption, it's a different kettle of fish. You know, like they always try and get them on something like, you know, a sex scandal or some pecuniary interest thing that they didn't declare or something like that. That is very different to somebody trying to get, development proposals through by using the Premier's office. It's a new level of corrupt.
And I think that for me the point is...
And again, as well, we all need to remember this point. In the Hawke government, the golden era, there was a frontbencher that had to step down, not just step down, resign from Parliament and have a by-election because a British MP gave him a Paddington bear when he was overseas and he didn't declare it and gave it to his daughter.
What the hell's a Paddington? What is
bear.
That? Like a toy?
No, Paddington bear, the children's book.
Oh.
With the gumboots.
Oh.
It's just like a Humphrey Bee bear, but smaller.
You got to be
and no
shitting
tie.
me.
Huh?
That can't be accurate.
Sunk a frontbencher in the 80s. That's how far it's gotten. And we've got some stuff coming out about Angus Taylor soon that will rock your shocks.
I've got.
So this actually just keeps paling in comparison. But the thing is that the bar of acceptable corruption since the 80s it's at third world levels now. There's just the stuff that Angus Taylor has done is obvious. It's honestly like African dictator level. He's not even the dictator. Like he's not even prime minister.
Is he a Nationals guy? Or is he?
He should be, but he's a Liberal.
Right.
And so it's not the point of like haven't we all been in that situation? That's irrelevant. Have we all been in that situation? I'm sure we have. It's how you react when you're in that situation is what's important.
Yeah.
So you could either react by saying, okay, my boyfriend's kind of shitty. I don't know what he's up to. There seems to be this investigation into him. I just want to bring that on record. Not for the public. At least disclose it like privately to the commission, and then they can decide if that needs to go out in the public or not.
Exactly.
If you react by just saying like, just don't talk to me about that stuff. Also, when are we hanging out? It's just like, no, that's where the difference is.
It's strange to me that it's even like a point of contention. Like it's like I just keep imagining what it like, you know, as Jordan was saying, the shoe was on the other foot, but you can just imagine if Labor was in the same. I was telling Jordan earlier. I said they would not only would the Libs contest and like leak it to the press. I reckon the Libs would be like they'd put forward some sort of bill to be like, we think it is only fair to move forward to resolve the Labor Party as a party. Do we have a choice? I reckon that's what they would say. And I reckon they'd probably win. And then it'd be like
We'll
Libs.
just have to run a referendum on this.
It's that Chris Rock bit. Do you remember when Obama was running for president? Chris Rock was like, what do you think about Obama's performance in the debate? He's like, look, a black man can't beat a white man in a boxing match. You got to knock him out. So the same thing applies for like labor. The standard by which we judge both parties is completely different.
It seems
Labor
that way.
government needs to knock the other government out for them to win, whereas the other party can seem to punch a bit and then be like, oh, we win because like we got more punches.
Just think about it this way:
True.
Jackie Trad had to resign because she allegedly appointed a principal. It's not true,
and it's not even like
appoint that principal.
It's not even accurate.
That's not even accurate. She had to step down as treasurer. That's the difference in the Queensland in a Labor government, whereas Gladys Berejiklian can turn a blind eye to corruption willingly, meaning that she did know that the corruption was happening and she gets to hold her position. Now, the other thing that's really interesting, and pretty much I'm just rehashing what's going to come out tomorrow, but I just really like this point. The Murdoch press and 9 Fairfax are duking it out at the moment. I was describing it as the way that the real difference between 9 Fairfax and the Murdoch press is that the Murdoch press likes the dries and 9 Fairfax likes the wets. What's the difference between the dries and the wets? The dries sit there and think, well, probably the Amish have it right, don't they? I mean, why do we even need baseload power if we all just go back to barnyards and Clydesdale horses? They're just really into traditionalism.
And they do have a point.
Having heaps and heaps of kids.
I mean, churning butter by hand is tempting. So look, we can see the advantages.
We were discussing this, and I think it will be the separate topic of tonight, but I really would like to delve into why Miss Love really romanticizes really hard labour.
I have 2 questions for you, and these are genuine questions. Question number 1, why is Sky News reporting unfavorably for Gladys? What's their motive? Question number 2. What is the obsession with North Shore chicks for these like country rough boys? Like, well, so both these questions need to be answered. You choose whatever order you wanted to go with.
Country rough boys, I think Miss would be more qualified to answer actually, because you've actually hung out with those chicks.
What is up with North? I've seen. This
isn't Tony Abbott's daughter your next door neighbor?
Pretty
She probably
much.
lives in your house.
Pretty much. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, why do any like rich girls like rough, rugged, handsome, hands-on?
Questionable actors, but they don't even have to be handsome. That's
Well, like rough, rugged, like salt of the earth, knows how to chuck a horse, like
Somewhat
saddle over a
charismatic.
horse.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, I'm getting flustered here, you know?
All right, ladies, can you tell us what's the charm in a man that's very ugly, is from the country?
What ladies are you talking to?
I'm talking about like these North Shore chicks. I've seen that.
They're not watching this.
Oh yeah, that's
Jesus, who do you think you are?
all right. Second question, sir. The Sky News. What's the agenda there?
Oh, the agenda with Sky News is that they want a dry liberal in power. And so obviously they're probably pushing for parity.
Explain a dry.
I think
Explain. You explained wet, but you didn't explain
No,
dry.
that was the dry.
Oh,
The
sorry.
dries are the Amish folk that think that
Yeah.
your entire purpose
Butter
is to
churning.
have 10 kids and then die at 37. That's theirs.
And those are the
wets
ones that
are your
North Shore
Malcolm
chicks are
Turnbulls
into.
and your Gladys Berejiklians of the Liberal Party that have this view of, I don't mind the idea of the Opera House getting funding because I personally like watching musicals. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much the difference. It's pretty much just cultural namby-pamby bullshit as always. It's just there's the cuck faction and the base faction of the Liberal Party. But both of them are just
Can you explain those
with
terms?
corruption. They don't care. That's really what's the battle that is playing out at the moment. It's
So
just where can Gladys Berejiklian hold, because she was only barely scraped through as premier to begin with. It's always been a powder cake. And there was a point where she was going to do a cabinet reshuffle. Even that would have triggered a leadership spill. So she's been treading a really fine line this entire time. So I think it is just rather convenient that while her government was getting bombarded with the Koala Gate stuff, straight after that, she fronts up to ICAC. And I know that it's been planned in advance and stuff like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if one of the dries just went, here you go, here's some information about Gladys and her love life.
Surely it's a good
that
thing
might-
that the party is sort of fracturing internally, though, in terms of its power base.
I don't think that it matters because in election times, the great rivals of Nine Fairfax and the Murdoch press will together combine so that they can
Avengers.
continue the noble cause of rotting the system of tax credits.
Yeah, they become the Avengers and they come out. with, like,
Wait, of what? Running the system of what?
Tax credits.
Tax credits, as in just like tax cuts for the rich. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Right,
It's the
right.
same story over and over. I mean,
So Fairfax is
it's
essentially...
amazing that Fairfax gets to hold this image that we're impartial. Yeah. How many times have you supported the Labor Party federally? 6 times. Yep. And how many times in state? We haven't supported them since 1981. Oh, no, actually, we did in 2003 when Bob Carr was definitely going to win. So once, since we were born, before we were born, way before, like a decade before we were born,
Yeah.
they have supported the Labor Party once in state. 6 times federally, that's it. And they get to sit there as the impartial newspaper.
Damn, that's...
Incredible.
Are you like the only person on Earth with that information? Seriously.
Now, you know what else is insane? They published that once. And they were using it as a justification going, I don't know why everyone was so pissed off that we supported the Berejiklian government last time. It's almost as if our audience only likes the fact that we're not as gung-ho on culture war shit as Andrew Bolt is, and so that they're boomers and they have no other alternative, so they read our paper. I thought that we were all on the same page here and we were all doctors' wives.
what are the inner dynamics? What are the inner dynamics? So you know how like in the Labour Party, Labour left seems to be a lot less popular than Labour right, right? What's the dynamics there? Are wets more popular than dry, or is it kind of even Steven?
No, they're dries, which is Labor right, I guess.
Oh, sorry,
Own
Liberal
that
right.
party.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Labor left. I don't really know the dynamics of it. I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people, but I think the difference between them is that Labor left are always the ones in tie-dye shirts at the conferences when they say, okay, show
You mean Liberal
refugees."
left, right? Or Labour left?
Labor left, yeah.
Okay.
They're the ones that just sit
Tie-dye
there.
shirts.
In fact, I remember going to a Labor conference once, and all the Labor left guys were in tie-dye shirts. And all
Really?
the Labor right guys were in suits with Bluetooths, just going like, Tony Burke wants a water, Tony Burke wants a water.
But I mean, like, in terms of the Liberal Party, what are their factions like? Because we just got a comment, and one of the comments was that I missed it, but like they were saying how if this keeps continuing, the Liberal Party is going to be like Labour and its factions.
But
But isn't that already the case? Though,
Yeah.
is my question.
It is, and
Isn't
the
Liberal
Greens are always there.
Kind of almost like the Labour Party, except they've got better PR, so most people don't know that they're fractured. Because the whole Tony Abbott, Malcolm Turnbull
the
saga.
excuse that the Liberals use. In Sydney Morning Herald, they said, we're very disturbed by Gladys Berejiklian's environmental record. Nonetheless, you must vote for them for stability. It would be an absolute shambles if there was a minority government led by Labor. So vote for the party that is already fractured into two parties for stability.
For stability.
And so that was their argument. Fast forward to yours truly about a month ago. Look at them now, tearing each other apart. But the reality of the situation is, and you're right, they are much more unstable than the Liberal Party, the Labor Party is. In fact, federally, this whole mishmash of governments of the Abbott, Turnbull, Scott Morrison government, they have had the most cabinet reshuffles, the most cabinet resignations, the most amount of prime ministers resigning in the shortest amount of time in Australian parliamentary history. They are the most unstable
crazy.
And they're still known as the stable government.
party.
That's the fucked up. That's all marketing. That's all like PR.
I don't know
It's
how.
pretty shit. But what do you think about like? Sorry.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's just absolutely shocking. That's my 2 cents.
You know what was shocking to
government.
me?
Finally, someone says it.
It is though. It really is.
Yeah, you're right.
They've pushed it too far. It's like even I would always give, a party the benefit of the doubt, like to a degree. But when you look at those numbers, and it's just like all of these things that are happening, Barilaro, Berejiklian being like, I don't need to hear about that. Obviously complicit in like corruption, and then that fact about the fact of the most unstable government
Or
ever.
willfully ignorant.
Like okay, sure, willfully ignorant, but then and then along with what you just said, it's like, what else is like the only thing that like I don't say there just doesn't seem to be anything that is a positive. Like the only thing that is someone that had a gun to my head, like name a positive thing, and be like, I still don't buy that negative gearing's bad. That's all. Like that's all I've got. So it's just
You
crazy.
don't buy that, do you? I
No.
remember having a 2-hour conversation.
No, I
with
buy it.
Tasmania
I
about
buy it. It was a 2-hour conversation. I was just kind of like, well, I'm glad we scratched the surface, but it's a shame we didn't have time to get into the nitty gritty. So I don't know what to think about it, But I am the slow motion man, so like I only 2 years to mull on that.
Well, at least we started.
Anyway, sorry, what were you going to say?
We'll just move on.
No.
Just to address people just saying it. Oh my God, I can't believe he went on China Daily.
Oh, you want to talk about
Dude,
that?
I will go on any media outlet that asks me for an interview.
Hell
Unless
yeah, man.
Obviously, it's going to be an attack piece like it was in the Sydney Morning Herald, and then I will troll them mercilessly. But actually, even then, when James O'Doherty contacted me to go into the Daily Telegraph, I wanted to answer his questions. He was the one that wasn't asking them.
Yeah.
That's the difference here. It's just at least when you're going on to Chinese propagandic news outlets, they at least air what you said. There's a bit of a step up from Australia's media.
I have to say, it is
This what I'm
really
just saying.
funny.
It's just everybody going like, oh my God, I can't believe how bad the system of information is in China. It's exactly the same here. It's got a few different steps in it. There's not much difference. They're really like, think about it. In terms of the Chinese state owning all the press in China, you have two competing factions here that are constantly vying for power in the ruling party, which I think actually probably wouldn't be that far into China. I don't know that much about their media landscape, but that probably is happening there. Probably is wings of the media owned by different factions of that same party. That's exactly as we were just describing what is happening between 9 Fairfax and the Murdoch Press now. And ABC, it is the state-run media of China.
True.
Yeah,
I mean,
and this is not coming from Jordan. This is coming from me. For all those motherfuckers that are complaining about the pod being like anti-Uyghurs and shit. Fuck you, dude. None of that was against Uyghurs. All of that was that world powers always act the same. Like one guy, I think there's like a video that's going around, and one guy was just saying, well, the US doesn't have any detention camps that keep Muslims illegally.
No, they've just killed 27 million Muslims.
They do. It's called fucking Guantanamo Bay, dude. Like, they do. This is the thing. Like, it's exactly the same. And it's not that, like, the US are more evil than China. World powers behave exactly the same. When you talk about one country, China, which is up and coming, or equally evil as any other great power, and you choose to ignore all of the other shit that's been happening, there's someone that has to say, look, I'm not saying that what's happening over there is good, but it's happening all over. You're just refusing to look at some of the other areas. Anyway, sorry, that was my take. And obviously, none of this is coming from Jordan. This is coming from me.
And I'll just add this, when we were just talking about it. Look, Chinese news will air Chomsky's propaganda model. The press here most certainly won't. Even when I am talking about Chomsky's propaganda model and using events that they reported on as examples, what will they do? They will clip the 2 little sentences that I use as the example and put that out and run a smear campaign on that and get rid of all the context around it about how the system works.
Yeah.
They completely devoid all of that. China Daily just ran a 15-minute documentary about how Western propaganda works. Now, obviously, it's not hitting the right demographic, but at least they did it.
is it
You're not going to see that.
Is it only aired in China?
No, actually, you know what? It's on YouTube now, so it's available to everybody. So they just did a 15-minute recap of what Herman and Chomsky have been talking about for the last 40 years. We have talked to people in the press at 9 Fairfax about Chomsky's propaganda model. You know what they do? They just smugly dismiss it as, he doesn't understand how hard it is for us. What is your job again? Sitting around like a seagull waiting for drops from politicians that we're told to report their press releases on?
I mean,
that's pretty much why I went on there, because they said, what do you think about this Australian think tank that is that is paid by a bunch of weapons manufacturers across the planet? And I said, well, I think it's pretty bad. Just like I'm saying here now.
Did you point out some of China's ill?
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's amazing about it. I just sat there and talked to the Chinese press and said, look, I am not saying, and the Chinese press was agreeing with it as well. This is the other thing.
Really?
They were saying, look, I think that this is their view, talking to them, which was what was really interesting about it. I think that China understands that their government isn't perfect. They understand that their government is authoritarian. They understand that it has had human rights violations. I actually think that they have a better picture of the globe than we do.
Yeah.
Because they actually hear critical messages about not just, like, I don't know where they're getting their critical messages of the Chinese government or whatever, but they seem to have this better view of it, that it's just like, they see it for what it is, which is Americans seem to have this view that it is good versus evil. China seems to have this view that it is 2 superpowers colliding. That is a more accurate portrayal of what is happening.
Yes.
And none of them makes the other one superior morally, but like at least one of them has a better understanding, because good versus evil gets you into shit situations. And yeah, like, look, the other thing is, when it comes to all of these political issues in China, like the Uyghurs, there's incredible repression over there. None of that is deniable. That's something that the Chinese should be looking at themselves, and we should be supporting them. When it comes to us living in Australia or wherever the fuck we're living, it's better of us to like look into ourselves and see what we're doing wrong. Just because I criticize, I don't know, like the Australian government, or coming from fucking Pakistan, I criticize the Pakistani government. It's not that I hate them more than anyone else. It's just that I relate to them. I live in Australia, so I'm more interested in issues over here. And if I'm in China, then fuck yes, I'm going to be talking about the government in China. It's just like, it kind of looks bad when you're like some Australian guy that like never looks at any of the issues in your own country and are constantly like, but China, look at the China. University of Queensland now has this fucking tie up with China. It's like, dude, Maybe, but look into like how your daily life is actually being affected. How much of that is a contribution from China, and how much of that is a contribution of you just being a lazy bum and not looking at issues around you? Chomsky constantly criticizes U.S. Do you think he loves China and hates the U.S.? He's fucking American. That's why he's doing it. Anyway, sorry.
No,
Surely
I'm
there's
really
a-
glad that you reiterated that, which is that look into your own backyard. And the point that we are constantly trying to reiterate about China is there is a lot of misinformation that is spread about it, first off. But the second thing is, why is that information being spread? And it is because we are just District 1 of the US empire. You just need to know the reality, just the bare basics of how the chess game is playing out. It's pretty much all we're saying here. Now, to the person that just said, if this was China, Friendlyjordies wouldn't have a platform. Wrong, because in China, I'd be pro the government.
Yeah, you guys are assuming this guy's like a perfectly moral man. It's not true. He loves authoritarianism. In fact, both of these guys love
Someone in the
authoritarianism.
comments did just say Friendlyjordies, Tankie confirmed. I've got to say, I'm pretty happy that I was able to pass through 7 years without being noticed.
I mean, yeah, like I can't agree with all of it because I like being able to like play music live and stuff. But these are priorities for these
live
men.
in China. It's just you're going to have to replace guitars with shit karaoke.
Yeah, I don't like those.
And you're gonna have to wear shoes that have lights in them, because otherwise it doesn't work.
How else are people going to pay attention?
Yeah, so
But
like, I
And
don't.
also, you're going to have to change what you're constantly singing about, which is usually just people that you didn't like from work. You're going to have to talk about how awesome wheat yields are.
Doesn't really appeal to me. That's the problem.
Doesn't it? I thought it would.
That's so
Love
much.
food.
Yeah, but not wheat, not in its bare bones elements. Like that's not. Have you ever tried
I
eating
suppose
just
that is the
wheat?
difference in the factions between Friendlyjordies and the cuck faction and the base faction here. The base faction, consisting of Ali and I, really like wheat yields.
Just a straight wheat.
just
I like
real.
it when they're flattened out a bit, you know.
We do have factions of the Friendlyjordies empire. Can I say that? Even though there's like 5 people in it, empire.
And the cucked faction is going nuts about all of the stuff that is going on Twitter right now.
And
They
they
are
hate me.
really losing it.
They hate me.
But wait,
and
who
for
are the
record,
cucked
they hate
faction?
Christo too.
Who are the cucked faction? Which ones? You don't have to
don't
say
know
the
if we're allowed to
names.
name
Yeah,
Don't
let's
say the
not
names.
take
Just
names.
imply, just vaguely, so that I
Anyone
can.
behind a computer.
Female you hates it,
Oh yeah,
True.
yeah.
and Pewds hates it.
Oh, that's it.
Huh?
Those are the two in that
Who else
faction.
is in the cuck faction?
Yeah.
No.
Am I?
The editors dither in and out of the cuck
Ah,
faction.
okay.
That's 2. That's
You are in the base faction most of the time, but in your old age, you are softening.
We are literally
No,
talking about
I'm
our
not.
tribe
I'm
now.
not. I am not softening. It's just that as soon as there's outright support for like dictatorships, I'm like, that's not softening.
No,
That's
cuck
it.
confirmed.
Cucking.
Fuck off.
There's a term, cucking. For
God.
Jesus.
I know
The
we-
rat-
How
That's
much
gonna-
more based are the Friendlyjordies cucks, though, instead of just sitting there, "Ooh, gay marriage, I don't know about that," just sitting there, just, I don't know, man. Stalin's getting a pretty bad rap.
Culturally, I'm the one that's cool. The cool one out there, all right? I don't know the terms. You know
Mitch,
what I
do you
mean?
know there's like a term in cricket which really applies to Jordan right now?
Spin.
It's called.
And nothing
Also
but
works.
The Shane Warne of politics.
It's called well left.
Well left.
Well left. And
Oh, as in when
I
you leave
think
the ball?
When you leave the ball, when it's coming to your face,
Yeah.
and then you duck down and you don't try to.
Yeah.
Sometimes they say well left. And
Yeah.
Jordan, you've well left one. And I want to get an answer to it. I'm going to go for another bouncer.
Oh, God.
What's your take on Albanese's stance on Gladys?
Oh God! You poor
Real
bastard.
controversial.
You poor. It's just. He was just saying earlier. He's just a ragdoll, continually throwing it under the bus for different things. Just like, oh God, here we go again. Oh no, this time it's awesome. You can
choose
handle
to
it.
duck. You can choose to duck.
You can handle. No, no.
Non-stop. It's just Rat Boy going, yeah, there you go, fight that one. And then Ali coming on and just going, come on, let's just talk about it one more time. USSR, best utopia, right? Like, that was the real Adam and Eve's Garden of Eden,
Christ.
yeah? Well, if you force my hand up, then obviously I'm going to have to agree with that. But, yeah, what's happening with
Help.
Albo at the moment is it's just so pathetic.
Oh,
that
God.
Jody McKay is sitting there pointing out exactly what needs to be pointed out, which is that you have a premier that has been confirmed to have just been
excusing corruption. And if she's doing that in her personal life, can you imagine where else in her personal life she's doing that? If she's one of these people that says, I separate my personal and public life, which I don't buy for a second. But anyway, that's happening. Albo and Bill Shorten come out and they're like, well, I mean, it's really is just about love, isn't it? What else? What's love got to do with it? Those lyrics should be reversed. It should be a remix about Gladys going, what's work got to do with it?
Should get into comedy, kid. That was
Likes
good.
that?
That was mad. That was the joke of the pod. That was mad.
Well, it's just make Anthony Albanese sound like Daffy Duck even more than he does.
Just works, man.
No, not even that. The robot in Plasmo.
But you know what I really liked, Albo?
He's just a softie.
He is a softie.
Because like he's looking at this woman going through hell,
And he goes to,
and
you
he
know,
feels for her. I get it. I mean,
and he goes to like the Urco pub, and like he's softened.
For Mishlove, that is qualification enough. You shall be
Soft.
dictator. Do you want him to be the dictator for life?
No, but you know what I mean. Like he is a bit of a softie, but it's you know frustrating because I like Albo. I sort of thought of him as more of a kind of, you know, grew up in Housos and Glebe Wharfy type labor, like sort of just like, especially what with that move he did with sort of essentially reducing the union's power for a PR move, which was kind of a boss move in terms of solidifying, you know, his position in labor or whatever. He seemed to be doing. I don't know. I was into him.
We're still in. I'm still.
I don't think this guy is.
You're not in. Actually, change of mind.
Like, I think this is the first time I've ever said on this podcast, this is too red hot.
Yeah, you shouldn't. We shouldn't talk.
Yeah,
it's
all
not fair to put it because
No,
because
but look,
it's a nuanced.
No, I will say this though, it's deplorable what federal Labor has done in this instance. They have not backed New South Wales Labor at all, and I will say this: I used to think that if you're in federal Labor, obviously you're the best talent. I don't think that anymore. I really think that there's a lot of talent in the states. Might just be the necessity of the fact that they don't get any media coverage whatsoever.
Yeah, I barely knew they existed till.
What, a state?
I don't think most people in Australia know there's a state government. It's like until Jordan started like being interested in Jody McKay and stuff, I was just like, hold on, Jack, there's a state government now. But
yeah,
you know,
that was his project. So that's what that New South Wales government emblem is on all those trains.
I didn't go that far even. I was just like, yeah, just, like touching her. I'm like, well, you seem real to me, lady. You know. But I mean, I don't know. That's a bit of a big call to say states better.
Gladys Berejiklian was a hot dog salesman.
There's
States.
It's a bigger call to say most people don't know that the state government exists.
They don't. State government is like.
He is more in touch with the everyman.
State government is like.
I mean, you remember who he was working with at the Fast Fox?
Yes,
Who?
indeed.
Just all of these dead shits today. Mate, unironically, I'll tell you right now, unironically, and it's no joke when I say this, the best band of all time is Linkin Park.
But is there anything state government is like primary school and federal is high school? It's harder.
No, I think that state government is harder.
No way.
Because it's all about attention. It's just, right now what's happening is huge. The government, the head of the government of the most powerful state in the Commonwealth has been outed for excusing corruption. What's the coverage on it? Well, you know, haven't you watched Titanic? Love's complicated.
Maybe it is just the media because it just doesn't seem as big a deal as something that happens federally. But I mean, like, it's very possible that it's just if the media doesn't sort of bolster it up, then it doesn't feel as significant.
Yeah.
Possible.
Which is another strategy of it.
Yeah. Look, I'll take the bait. You might be right here.
I love this analogy that we came up with recently that Miss Love has done a course in astrophysics but not basic maths.
It's true.
Ow,
He has.
That's what's
He's saying some real on-point shit, but missing the basics.
No.
But like, some
And
of the analysis
what's the
actually
premier when not referring to rugby?
It's like a payout and a compliment. But
You know
I'll
what?
take it.
If that is, Miss Love's the general, Ali is the premier. That's the word for him from now on.
Okay, if I'm a premier, can I admit I'm fucking someone and they are not a good person? I'm kidding. That was
I
a
get it.
Gladys joke.
So dodgy.
That was,
No.
that was a Gladys.
How hilarious would it be if Ali has to front up to ICAC on Friday?
But I couldn't
How do
go
you think you would front? Do you reckon you do well?
at a commission.
5-hour grilling from that very scary lawyer that is in permanently hunched state. That's just like every time someone cracks a smile or something, he's just like, I don't think that my mouth is capable of smiling.
Jesus.
You'd think that's
Too
a
many-
tough situation for anyone. But I would say if you were to take a random pool of people, I would be on like an upper end of how someone handles it. It's a tough situation for anyone to handle. But just
Definitely getting grilled behind the glass, just
Yeah,
being
yeah,
like, you are OJ Simpson. Nevertheless, that was completely fair when, in Berejiklian's case.
Yeah. And
The
not
person
fair
that
in
in
OJ's
the,
case.
in the comments was just saying that they recommend Michael West's Independent Australia and True Crime Stories. Yeah, that's a good list, but you have forgotten the main source of information, which is givemesometruth.com.
What's that?
Truth.com. And just for those of for some
Sounds
of the
good to me.
I found a new thing that I showed Jordan today. It's called Strat4. If you're into like really good analysis on political events, it's a paid subscription, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, that actually genuinely looks very interesting.
It is super interesting. It's just kind of expensive.
How much?
It's
200 a month, didn't you say?
200 a year.
Oh, yeah.
But like you have to pay 200 in like one go.
One down
230 or
payment.
something, yeah. So
and you threw
but-
it down?
Yeah, I did.
Dude,
but, like,
respect. That's
But
respect.
the thing is, like, most people would get like stupid shit. People would get like
Netflix.
like a computer or something of that sort, right?
Well,
Well, computer's not stupid.
It's not
but
really stupid.
You end up spending more money on I don't know, electronics and stuff, and this
No,
is
it's
just
true.
like
It's
a
not that
different
much.
kind of investment.
it's totally.
Almost as good as being a patron of the Friendlyjordies podcast.
Which
I've got to
helps.
say, it is a hell of a lot cheaper.
It is indeed.
But yeah, it is. That's true. And you get to the source here. Better than what he just said. Way better. Our things we rattle off
Yeah,
the top
it
of our
really
heads.
is just Sky News, except for people that have no actual experience in Parliament.
Better than Sky
Hey,
News then.
that's not true. I did rock up in exactly the same clothes that I've been now wearing
Stand
for,
up.
I think, a grand total of
Do it.
57 hours.
Do a twirl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was do a twirl. He actually wore these fucking trackies. Yeah, the bulge.
elastic on that.
Jesus. Yeah.
Lads.
Come on.
Hey,
Yeah.
man.
Who likes that? High speeding.
remember what he's wearing now, and watch his video that's going to release tomorrow, and just remember
You just remember.
And I will still
Remember.
be wearing it
it
tomorrow.
was filmed yesterday or day before.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one.
He's been wearing the same clothes for at least 5 days now.
Yeah.
There was a reason that when I walked into Helen Dalton's office, she politely smiled and then immediately went to the door and opened it.
I'm not used to you stinky, smelly. I'm used to being outdoors with people wearing, what's that shit called?
Yeah.
Flannel.
Hey,
Flannelette.
this doesn't smell like an abattoir.
No, dude. Hey, why does this smell like an abattoir? And then opens the door. Like, I mean, I'm used to that smell, but there's no dead calves in here.
God, yeah.
Well, I did,
Mrs. Dalton.
I did have a few other shitty segments
Love
that
it.
we could talk about.
Well, let's just go to a break for a second because I need to
Okay.
go party.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, before we go to break, we'll see you guys in like 2 minutes. And thanks for coming.
Damn it.
Da, 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 da.
That was a really cool spin the bottle.
Yeah, it was.
Finished on you, miss.
Huh? Yeah. Except without them making out.
Go on.
Need more
Kiss John
vodka.
Barilaro. Show some respect.
Yes.
I like how he's up there with all the prime ministerial greats.
But it's with a fucking Mario hat.
And Eddie as well.
I gotta
Prime
say,
Ministerial
I have to say, that portrait by shout out Jordan B_art legend is the first time I've ever kind of felt sorry for him.
What?
Because look at the poor guy. You know why? Because in another life, in a better world, there's a lot of people that throughout in my life I've met, like, they should have stayed in the country that they were originally from. Like, that sounds brutal, but I just mean like their families from.
I think I'm gonna go around and zoom in on that portrait just in
Yeah,
case
do
people can't
it.
see.
Like we had a friend from school. Funnily enough, the guy based on Yilmaz. You like that? You like when we say that word,
reference?
don't we? Like you like internet people like that. He was one of those guys that I think if he stayed in his, like if he was like, let's not stayed, but like if he had been born in the country that his parents were from, like for instance, if I were born in Croatia, he would have absolutely killed it and been a superstar. That guy, by definition, from what you know, would have probably been a superstar. I just see that face down and I'm like, he would have been so happy in like the foothills of Sicily growing olives.
Do you think that he still would have reached the same heights of power?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes. And he would have been successful ethically, I would say. Sometimes it's not just your environment. Sometimes your environment has a significant role in terms of like how you turn out. And I just reckon he might have just been like the best olive grower in all of Sicily kind of thing. And he actually would have killed it, you know?
I don't actually think that the last part is right, though, because his entire family's pretty dodge.
Oh. All right.
But
Well,
you know what? It's
you might be right.
Sicily. So it is just a different comparison of ethics.
True. And also that the mafia is the government there. So it's like, what is dodge?
Yeah, I know. So he is just here being like, what the fuck, Russ? I'm running exactly how government should be run.
That might be very holy shit,
it's true.
dude.
Yeah.
We're just
But
we
you
are
don't
being
understand.
racist.
I'm wearing chinos. That's the end of it, right?
I just realized
That's
maybe
not-
we are being
How
racist.
is that racist? Dude, it is a
Because
fact.
we're not acknowledging that
Okay,
in
so
his
you moved over to the cuck faction.
in his culture, corruption is okay.
But that's not.
That's a joke.
Dude, that's how the South runs, though. The government is so corrupt that the mafia picks up. The mafia is significantly less corrupt and runs runs as a sort of de facto government more efficiently than the actual government down there.
But that is true because they do run the government as well.
Right.
So-
They sort of had to.
But you know, I was actually reading somewhere apparently why that is. The island kept getting taken over by so many people that it never had stability, and the only people that provided stability were like local mafia people. So it just had like
It was a
this tradition.
post-war thing. Like, there's always been a sort of cultural segregation from like the wealthy north to the sort of like, you know, like working class, poor south. There's like a imaginary divide, kind of like the States. And like
It was also
post-war,
like a hotspot of people wanting to take over part of Italy. So they just had incredible amounts of instability, and the only form of stability came from local mafia people, and that just became like a cultural thing.
well, all I know is that their resources were like consciously like cut off, like almost like extradited from
Well,
like,
there's
you know.
obviously they would say that. Who is saying, nah, we've had it good? No one's ever said we've had it all right.
So that is another transfer because when I was recently doing some sleuthing around in rural Australia yet again,
Doing your job.
How was that, by the way?
Yeah, how was that? You didn't really tell me that
can
much.
we just go through the parliamentary record of the last 200 years and see if there has ever been a moment where politicians have not gone up and said, right now, farmers are doing it tough. Has there ever been a moment where they've been okay or cruising along?
I don't think so.
No?
It's- dude, they should just rename the word politics. I don't know. I know it's not efficient. I know it wouldn't work. I know it's ridiculous. But how much more truthful to its core would it be if politics, the name politics, was just internationally transferred to like, they didn't call it politics, they call it farmers doing it tough.
Yeah. Because what else do you need to say? That's how you win elections. You just go sit there and say that. Did you know that they're doing it really tough right now with the price of hay? Or look, if there's not a drought, it's always the price of hay and milk's down. If there is a drought, well, there's no hay or milk.
I mean, we are really sounding like city slicker
No, but
douchebags.
I've seen them, and
Yeah.
I don't have empathy for them anymore because I was in a really beautiful area, right? And there was no drought there. It was an area that was pre-cleared before the settlers came.
Right.
So they just walked in there and it was just grass plains. So all they had to do was just go, this patch mine, and just put up the fence. And they were good to go. There's never any droughts there.
Right.
It's just permanently green. No work involved in it. You just chuck cows on and away you go.
That was it there. And they were sitting there just saying that, like, yeah, tell you what, right now, it's just unbelievable what's happening. Yeah. How much are you worth again? $20 million. Oh, okay. How about you shut the fuck up? No. There won't be any of that. I'm just going to keep talking even when you're backing away into your car and zooming out. Now that I have your phone number, I'm going to call you up and make sure that you listen to me all the way back to Sydney.
Oh.
And I was sitting there complaining over and over about things like, oh, I can't believe this. Can you believe that that there was a subsidy that came out that was giving out Roundup and my neighbours got a little more Roundup than I did. It's just a shame. So really what they're complaining about, this is the difference between the Nationals and the Libs that I figured out. The Liberals' ethos is no one gets any benefits, fuck everyone, no taxes. This is the Nationals. No one gets any benefits except me, so make sure you pay taxes. It's so much worse.
Well,
they take pride in pork barreling off the cities.
Damn. Well, I was going to say to play not devil's advocate.
Having said that, though, I did meet a lot of sick farmers while I was out there.
Yeah,
I also met so many whiners.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because they get no one. So you were there, you're kind of like the media amalgamated into one individual, and they've been waiting for 5 years for someone to come, so they're letting loose.
They're letting loose, but here's my argument to that. A lot of them letting loose isn't interesting.
Yeah.
Well, take
But
one for the
look,
team.
there was really sick farmers that knew what was going on around there. They were interesting to listen to. But there was also a lot of farmers going, yeah, I'll tell you what, now this is the greatest thing you will ever hear in your life. Let's talk about Roundup prices, specifically between the years of 2008 and 2010. You want to tell you, this is going to take a while.
Roundup prices. Just moments like that, you have to look up at the stars and be like, we came from stardust.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Well,
it's like,
can I
Oh,
be
that
that
would have
guy?
been handy.
Can I be that guy and come up with an equally boring segment before we end this? Because
yes, you may.
Well, that's your expertise.
This is my expertise. Guys, did you know everyone's talking about Pennsylvania being the big state?
Oh,
the
is that
swing
this? I
state?
saw a YouTube video.
Hey, that's
that was
not-
saying,
that's-
if he loses
that
Pennsylvania,
is
he's
interesting.
going.
But Pennsylvania's going to swing it.
No, but like here's the thing that a lot of people don't know.
The varying interests of Mislav Balabrajic, the quirky states of the US, and what fruit is in season.
I mean, who has a better
They are
life?
pretty interconnected, the quirky states
They
of
are,
the
they
season
are.
fruits.
They are. Pennsylvania is supposed to be a swing state, and they're touting it as the state that could decide the election, like they always do with every other state.
Yeah,
but,
Pennsylvania,
One
right?
of the interesting
Penny
thing
baby.
about Pennsylvania is that 15% of the population there is Catholic. That's normal. There's a lot of Catholics over there. But because of gerrymandering, there's a lot of particular constituencies which are under Catholic control, which is, again, fine. But this
Damn
is the thing.
straight.
Here's another issue that will affect the ballot in Pennsylvania that people don't know about. A lot of them are going to side with Joe Biden because of the Brexit agreement. So there's this whole thing about Mislav. If with Brexit, if the
Yeah.
UK moves out of the European Union,
Yeah.
then there's going to be like checkpoints between Northern Ireland and Ireland.
Right.
And that was an issue that has killed several people. This is a big, big issue for them because obviously
Checkpoints, like trade? Checkpoints?
well, at one point, because they're like two different countries
Yeah.
technically, right? So with trade there'd be checkpoints.
Yeah.
Which initially the division of Northern Ireland and Ireland, there's a lot of history, but there was like terrorist movements and
Yeah.
all of that shit happening.
What, the IR?
The IRA, yeah.
Yeah.
So the two factions now have become that Joe Biden is willing to back a Brexit that has free movement of people and goods between Ireland and Northern Ireland, whereas everyone kind of wants it, but Boris Johnson and Trump are like, well, if we don't get it, then we don't get it. Borders are important.
Right.
So there's that, which is going to play a role in Pennsylvania.
Why
which is-
Pennsylvania?
because there's a Catholic population over there. It's more than any other state.
And Belfast, Northern Ireland's Protestant, right?
No, they're also Catholic.
Oh, so just because
So the-
because Biden is willing to
So Biden
have
is
the
willing
free
to side
trade.
with the Catholics,
Yeah.
and Trump is supposedly siding with the Protestants from England.
I see.
It's not that either of them want this disruption, but that Trump and Boris Johnson are just because they're still in the middle of negotiations.
Yeah.
And the negotiations are still continuing. If you want, we could do like a Brexit update on what's happening.
Dude, I would love that.
There's a lot of fucked up shit that's happening over there too. But one of the things is that they still haven't been able to come up with a resolution of staying within the single market. If they don't stay within the single market, like I'll give you like a few issues that they're facing. For example, the French have problems with the British because French want access to fishing waters, British fishing waters, and that's one of the big issues as well. So there's still like friction in terms of the Brexit negotiations, but the Northern Ireland and Ireland issue is big for them because they've lost so many people. So
Are you guys hearing someone faintly talk?
No, but I can't hear anything.
hey, that's me. What are you talking about?
I can't hear anything, so
I can't hear anything either. For something happened on my headphones too.
yeah.
Are we talking?
Yeah. They'd be saying stuff. What are they saying?
Yeah, we're good. Yes, I can. Ali, come on. Mainly Catholic. Yes, they can.
Yeah, they're good.
People
It
can hear
sounds
us.
like ASIO is just faintly talking in the background of this. Just be like, "Duvido ham radio."
Damn, Jimmy's just finally cracked it. I can hear ACO. I can hear them.
Anyway,
It's China
Just
spies.
those eyes just move.
And the sound.
yeah, that was sent to us by Barrelaro himself.
Oh, dude, that would be crazy. Zzz.
Hey, did that just move? It just jumps out, and runs out the door.
Yeah, this bird's gonna fly. Damn. It's all right. These are all guys. These are still kind of teething problems. Someone just said it's echoing. It's all part of the fun. This is what happens when you buy new equipment, and I assume half of it has built-in effects pedals.
Can you hear this sound?
And if, to quote the reason that this is probably happening right now, which is that Mislav was extremely late for the sound check, it's what happens when you work it out.
Work out.
Yo. I don't think the word yo has been said enough in this.
No, it has not. Yo.
Should we end it?
What's the time?
I don't know. I think
We're 9:20.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do an early mark. I think we've earned it, boys.
Well, it's still
After
an
talking
over
to people
mark.
that were very nice to us.
We're technically supposed to be ending it at 9. But
Oh, extended time period.
nah, we always go over time. Right? We're Joe Rogan. When we're in the conversation, we just keep going. But do the goodbyes.
Farewell. And it was very nice meeting 4 of you.
we are going to extend some of these phone calls, but guess what? You want to talk to Ash again? That was a little taster. You better
wanna
join
do it
Patreon.
again?
You better join Patreon because we're going to do exclusive Patreon now. So come on.
Yeah, please join the Friendlyjordies podcast. I don't know if it's the Friendlyjordies podcast Patreon or Friendly Jimmy's podcast Patreon.
I think it's Geordie's.
Jordies, I think it's been
The
changed.
important thing is he's don't pay for themselves, man. And I made a Play-Doh.
And thank you so much for your support. Your support has been incredible.
It is.
More of that shit.
It is.
Particularly through the teething technical difficulties that seem to have been extended to 5 years at this point, as long as Gladys was dating Maguire.
Hey, I'm everything for this point. I'm like the tech guy at this point.
Yeah.
I'm
Actually, shout out to Ali.
The
I was
bum of the like the dad of the podcast. that
accountant.
organized everything.
Shout
The
out
only
to
guy that does
Ali.
any research for it?
Yeah,
I
shout
think that's probably pretty commendable.
But it serves you right for having glasses.
Whereas
dude.
Mislav rocks up late. That's that's what happens.
That's how I roll.
He's like, well, I got to work out. So.
They get paid equally. Make sure that you give Ali a raise, but just know that there will
And
be a
Miss
tithing
Love
of 50% to Mislav.
Come on, I'm here.
It's a package deal.
They wouldn't have it
It's
any
a
other way.
package deal,
They wouldn't
so
have it
it's
any
gotta
other
be-
way.
But please, if you're not, then subscribe to the Patreon.
Please do. We like you a lot.
And we'll see you guys next week. And we'll see those of you that are patrons in a little bit because we'll be recording the Up Late podcast.
Yeah,
And sorry,
baby.
and for next time,
But we will
again,
be watching a couple of episodes of The Simpsons.
You have to.
What a
Sorry,
what a
we've got some
work
priorities.
ethic we have.
Hey, also, guys, did you like us just playing poker for the entire
Oh, we found
Up Late
out. They
podcast?
hated it.
Dude, you know what?
What did they say?
I read the comments. Most of them were like, dude, you guys are stretching with this one. But like the consensus
Come
was
on.
that if you want to play poker while recording the podcast, do it. But don't talk about playing poker. Talk about whatever you want. Just keep playing poker.
Fair.
Sound advice,
Fair.
duly noted, probably rejected. We will see you for the Up Late
Thank you.
podcast. And make sure that you pay for it because obviously it's quality.
The stuff we talk about's good.
Bye.